N'Keal Harry was an absolute steal at 32. What are you guys talking about? Forget Tom Brady's passing numbers. He's the GOAT because he was the best punter in the NFL. I take Johnny Hecker over Patrick Mahomes to be my quarterback any day.
Welcome to the No Punt Intended Sportscast with your host, Parody 07.
Well, it's time to talk about the good and the bad and the coaching of the New England Patriots, and boy, what a doozy that game was. Getting down 16-0 at the end of the first quarter with a pick six, and the next play is a fumble by a guy that doesn't fumble, and Zeke Elliott, and then that turning into a touchdown. And the 3 points they're getting, they shouldn't have gotten because we were offsides on a play that they had a 10-yard loss early in the drive, and then they proceed to drive down the field, and then we were able to hole up in the red zone. And then Mac brought him back like he usually does, and then the defense, unlike the past couple years, gave Mac a couple opportunities to go and win the game, and game in inches. I mean, you know, two inches with the left foot down, and you know, it's first and goal with 25 seconds left with the ball, you know, with the clock not moving because it was out of bounds, or the game is lost, and it just happens to be that the game was lost. So the good, I have to give props to a makeshift offensive line. Our two starting guards didn't play. Onwenu is still dealing with recovering from his ankle surgery over the offseason, and Cole Strange is still dealing with. I'm not sure what his injury is, but it happened on the first day at pads about a month ago. I think they're both close. They might both start this weekend, but the two guys that we had start, Antonio Mafi and City So, were two rookie interior guys that I felt, especially City So, I felt was a wasted draft pick. I am so glad they drafted them too after that game, because even though we couldn't run the ball very well, which was not great, they protected Mac for the most part. Like, that game could have easily been a game where Mac was sacked, 5 to 7 times, hit a bunch more, and it just looked ugly. But that they held up, and Trent Brown played relatively well, which is good. Andrews did his thing, which is obviously good to see. And then our right tackle, who seemingly won the right tackle job, is Calvin Anderson. And, he had a critical holding penalty on the 2-point conversion. But outside of that, he seemed to play relatively well. We'd like to be able to run the ball when we have Zeke and Ramondre Stevenson on our team. And Zeke doesn't look like a shell of himself. He looks like he's got a little bit of juice, which is good. But that's, the one positive on offense. On defense, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better game by the defense. They were put in some tough situations, which was, they didn't actually give up a touchdown drive. They had the pick six, so that's not on the defense, and then the other touchdown drive that, Jalen Hurts' lone touchdown pass was on a short field right after that. So, I mean, it's tough to be put in that situation. And basically they were on the field for almost the entire quarter, which is rough. But after that, there was only 9 points given up the rest of the game to one of the best offenses in the league last year. Belichick spun the dial. Gerard Mayo drew up some blitzes that was some zone behind it, which is there's usually man behind it, but they went with zone so that a crossing route could be picked up by anybody, and so that nobody's chasing, which was a really, really nice little wrinkle. The rookie Christian Gonzalez looked good. They asked him to just keep the plays in front of him, and he did. He made a couple little errors, but they were, nitpicky at best. Keon White is a freaking monster. Our second round pick, and he was chasing Jalen Hurts all day long. Jalen Hurts didn't look really all that comfortable most of the game. And it was finally, like, I knew this team had the opportunity to be an elite defense. If they play like this every week, Mac is going to have every opportunity to bring this team to the promised land every single week. So hopefully that defense continues to play like they played on Sunday. I heard somebody say that it felt like it was a game plan that Belichick comes up for like a Super Bowl or like an AFC championship or something like that. I kind of had the same feeling too. I'm not going to get into specifics, but it was a really nice game plan with a QB spy and what I call a mush rush, which is, where they're not teeing off on the quarterback. They're trying their best to keep him in front of him. Hurts for the most part was limited on the ground. There was a few, nice little runs that he had, and they were designed, but any of the like extracurricular runs for the most part were limited very well. Obviously Peppers laying down the boom and getting the ball back late in the game was a huge opportunity. As far as the bad, man, I want to see Mac have that clutch factor, and I just haven't seen it yet. He has, from my recollection, I think he's credited with 2 fourth quarter comebacks. One is just because they happened to take the lead at not even 2 minutes into the fourth quarter, and they just didn't give it up the rest of the game. And I think it was against the Jets, so that doesn't really count. They had a comeback against the Houston Texans that went down to the wire, but that's the Houston Texans. Like, you shouldn't have to come back from the Houston Texans, although they played relatively well this weekend. So maybe there's something growing down there. But Mac had several opportunities to make plays that, would have been the difference in the score. He was part of the reason they were down, and he did his darndest to bring them back. But you'd like to see him have that moment where he kind of overcomes, kind of puts the period, the nail in the coffin, however you want to put it. He's been very close. He almost did it to Brady in his rookie year. There was a batted pass away from beating Brady, and a few other opportunities and stuff like that. And it's just tough. It's just tough. As far as the coaching goes, and one other thing on the bad, Juju Smith-Schuster looks like Mohamed Sanu when he was here. I don't know what his deal is. There was some report that came out like either Saturday or early Sunday or something like that that said that Juju's knee could explode at any time, which but I don't know like where that came from. It was only one report, but it was somebody relatively reputable. But I have some major concerns with, he had this play where he was wide open. It was basically like a natural screen. Like, it wasn't a called screen. It's a natural screen based on the way the routes were set up. He was on the backside of a bunch formation, so he had a free release, and he was, let across the field after all the other routes were sent deep in some form or fashion. And Juju's wide open underneath, and he's got room to run. And he just didn't look fast. He looked like it was hard for him to run. It looked like he was slow. He had an ugly drop on a third down. There was a lot of things that made me concerned. And we're supposed to have this guy for the next 3 years. So if he's already on the back nine of his career, I might miss Jacoby a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
That's fair.
But that's the bad, and the coaching. Obviously, I talked heat praises on the defensive game plan. The biggest thing that you question is that 4th and 3 from the 17. I know you got a rookie kicker in there, but you chose him over Nick Folk, who was the leading scorer in the NFL right now. If, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where, Belichick said it was only 6 minutes left. It was actually 9 minutes left in the game. So you would expect there to be at least 2 more opportunities. They actually had 3, but you would expect there to be 2 more opportunities. And they were down by 5, and they chose not to take the points. And, the thing with that you have to remember about a call like that as a fan is they're not going to go for it if they don't feel like they have a play. Bill O'Brien is smart enough and has done this long enough to know, hey, in this situation, I've got a few, they'll call it 2-point plays, or there'll be 4th and short plays or something like that. These plays that they have designed for when they're in that situation. And now that Belichick's not, running the offense basically and micromanaging that part of the team, he's able to help put together those, those little details and put the offense in those situations during practice so that they have the ability to convert on those plays. So they actually had a play called that my understanding is there was potentiality for people to be open. It's just that the Eagles happened to have it covered up, and Juju made a mistake on a route, which cost them an open guy. And Mac obviously isn't a runner. And they said that if Mac would have extended the play just a little bit more, he might have had Bourne on the back line of the end zone. But I also heard that Booty was coming from the other direction, so it probably wouldn't have been as open as what some people might have think. It looked open on the broadcast, but I think there was people on the other side of the field coming that way that you weren't seeing. I don't have the all 22, so I really don't know exactly what the route combination is or anything. So I wish I'll be honest, if it was me in that situation, I would have kicked the field goal. I've seen too many times where not kicking the field goal in that situation has come back to haunt a team, and that was another situation where that happened. But I'm kind of like Hound, where I don't necessarily disagree with the aggressiveness, especially with that offense on the other side. But with the way the game was going, they hadn't allowed a touchdown drive all day. The defense kind of was having their way a little bit. They were getting theirs. Don't get me wrong. But I'm sure it was probably left up to Bill O'Brien whether or not he felt like he had a play that would work, and he probably felt he did, and they called it and it just didn't work out. So unfortunately, all the mistakes that we made were what I'll call material to the outcome of the game. And unfortunately for the Patriots, none of the mistakes that they caused were material enough to, sway the game. But that's kind of the New England rundown. The boys go ahead.
I want to piggyback off of just we're talking about field goals and situational thing like that. I just wanted to mention, because I forgot to earlier.
Sure.
In my segment, the Carolina's first offensive possession of the season, they go for it on 4th and 1 and get stuffed instead of taking the points early. As early as you can get. It's the first time you've ever had the ball in the NFL season with a rookie quarterback. I think you got to take the points there. You just had a 3-and-out on defense, I think. And again, to circle back a little bit earlier with your talk about momentum, I think obviously scoring a touchdown on your first possession is the biggest momentum you could probably get to start the game, especially going 3-and-out from your defense. But I think just getting 3 points, man, giving the guy some confidence. You had a great drive put together. You took a lot of time off the clock. Your defense was well rested at that point too. Like, just go up 3 early, play the game, see how it unfolds. Obviously that's a totally different situation. The Panthers was their first possession, and y'all are talking about, late possessions in the game. But again, I think the philosophy is the same. Like you're saying, New England's going to have more opportunities late in that game. They might get 1 more or 2 possessions, but like you said, they're down 5. Hey, 2 field goals can win it. Let's go ahead and get 3, be down by 2. If we get an opportunity, getting in field goal position is easier than scoring a touchdown. So, like I said, I think guys sometimes can overthink it a little bit, at some point you just got to take the points, man. Like you got to score points to win games, and they're hard to come by. So whenever you can get them, I think you got to take them. Obviously, there's some exceptions in there when you want to go for it, not. But
Yeah.
for Carolina specifically, I don't think going for it on that down and distance, first possession of the game for the season, just take the points, man. Don't overthink it. Like just go 3-0. Get the defense back on the field. They're playing well, and let's keep it moving. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that right quick.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I agree. You had mentioned the 4th and 1, but you hadn't gone into whether or not you agreed with it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that because, there was a lot of 4th downs this week that really didn't go the offense's way. And that's kind of indicative of week 1. The defenses tend to be a little bit of ahead. Obviously, watching that Kansas City game, you kind of felt that way too. You felt like the defense was carrying that Kansas City team, just hoping that, Mahomes would kind of catch fire. And, he sparked a little bit at the end of the second quarter. But other than that, his, as we've kind of hashed already, that defense kind of the Lions kind of had their they had their voodoo dolls or whatever to keep turn those sticky fingers into alligator arms.
They made the wide receivers cornerbacks.
Yeah, pretty
Basically.
Yeah, pretty good.
I saw a tweet, and it's basically like, if Kadarius Toney had just smacked down every single ball that was passed to him to the ground, the Chiefs would have won that game. We would have been in a better position.
That's crazy. That's true. And by the way, the guy that won that had that pick 6, Brian Branch, great player, rookie. I'm really happy for him. I think me and LB both wanted him to come to our respective teams. You don't need as much safety help as some of us do, Hound. So you weren't exactly clamoring for him. But no, he felt like a great Belichick piece. And pairing him with Chin over there in Carolina would have been sick too.
That'd have been dangerous.
Yeah, but no, good for him. I'm happy for him. So we have another new segment.
Yep.
We know the last couple weeks there's been a name, a gentleman whose name has kind of made his way into our discussions, and now our hearts. And,
Matt Nagy.
Yeah, and Mr. Nagy has had an impact on our pod, and I felt like it was about time that he got his own segment. And it's not at all because Rich Eisen's podcast happens to have already have a monopoly on Bill Belichick segments that we're doing this. So without further ado, we're going to allow Hound to pilot Nagy Notes.
What's going on? Matt Nagy here. Just want to tell you how excited I am to see football come back.
Get them amped up in that huddle. I want to go. Let's go. Yeah, man, I got my hat on down here.
Disappointment, there was discouragement, but in all that said, I know I'm not defeated.
Hey, come here. I'm going to challenge you right now, these 2 quarters, for greatness.
Everybody's a little bit different.
Ted Mitchell!
And there'll be challenging times where I'll be frustrated, but hopefully I handle it the right way, and it'll always be respectful.
During the television timeout, head coach Matt Nagy under heavy fire here in Chicago.
I'll be frustrated, but hopefully I handle it the right way, and it'll always be respectful. It's a part of it, man. This is the next journey for me, the next chapter, and we're gonna move on with that.
So yeah, this is the first segment ever of Nagy Notes, and boy, is this going to be a good one. If you are a Bears fan, I apologize ahead of time.
Goodness.
I'm sure you are tolerable, unlike the rest of your whiny fan base. I have to defend my hero, Matt Nagy, the hero of everyone's hearts in Kansas City and on this podcast. So the Chiefs offense didn't look like itself on Thursday, and coincidentally, of course, to no fault of Matt Nagy, of course. It was Matt Nagy's first time as the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs since back in 2017. And because of some interesting play calls, a lot of Bears fans on Twitter and Chicago sports media were mocking Matt Nagy, specifically on a jet sweep play on 3rd and 1. And they're like, oh, this is exactly what Matt Nagy did in Chicago. And everyone was making their memes on Twitter, or X, if you want to call it that. I even have some quotes from a couple of articles.
Let's hear it.
From Chicago sports media. Clutch Points and Sports Mockery, that's what they're called, respectively. First one, it says, it's safe to say Bears fans are much happier watching Nagy on the sidelines for another team.
Oh my gosh.
Really? The Bears, who went 3-14 the year after Matt Nagy left? Yeah, I'm sure they're super happy after losing to a Christian Watson-less Jordan Love first start, losing to him and their offense looking horrible. Sure, I'm sure they're super happy with that. And then Sports Mockery, they had two interesting parts of their article. One, quote, again, taking the ball out of the best player's hands with the game on the line. And this is talking about the jet sweep to the tight end.
Yeah.
Taking the ball out of the best player's hands with the game on the line is monumentally stupid. And it's something he did regularly in Chicago.
Who is
now,
that?
Here's my question. Who was the best player of the Chicago Bears?
That's what
from
I was
2018
thinking.
to 2021. What, Andy Dalton, Mitch Trubisky, Tarek Cohen? I don't know.
Cole Kmet.
Allen Robinson? This doesn't make any sense. They didn't have a best player. They hardly had average players.
Good grief.
Yeah. And then later on in that same article, it mentions the Chiefs' last drive. And they're like, oh, and look at the last drive the Chiefs had. This is just classic Nagy. They had incomplete pass, holding penalty, incomplete pass, false start, incomplete pass. They failed to mention that two of those incomplete passes were complete drops.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm blinded by the shining light of Matt Nagy's offensive genius. But I'm pretty sure the Bears aren't in any better position. Oh, yeah, sure. Matt Eberfluss is going to be the savior of the Bears revival. I'm sure that's going to happen. Yeah. No, people forget. Matt Nagy, one, is the best coach the Bears have had since Lovie Smith back in the mid-2000s.
Facts.
Truly. He coached 4 seasons. The Bears went to the playoff twice. He had 3 seasons of the Bears being 500 or better and had an overall winning record with the Bears. And the last season he coached with the Bears, he went 6-11. Not great, but that was during Justin Fields' first season, and they played Andy Dalton, of course. There's a lot of QB struggles. But what's strange, after they fired Matt Nagy and hired, amazing coach Matt Eberfluss, they went 3-14. Very strange. It's crazy how much hate the Bears fans have for Matt Nagy, and I think it's misplaced.
I agree.
I think they want to blame someone for their woes instead of perhaps maybe you shouldn't have drafted Mitch Trubisky second overall
over Patrick Mahomes. And here's what's crazy is
Matt Nagy was with the Chiefs when they drafted Patrick Mahomes, and was one of the main reasons why they drafted Patrick Mahomes. So, and then the year after he went to help the Bears with their issues with Mitch Trubisky. And people forget, again, very first season, Matt Nagy led the Bears to 12-4, and Mitch Trubisky made it to the Pro Bowl under Matt Nagy.
Jeez.
And now he's the backup to Kenny Pickett. So I'm pretty sure Matt maybe Bears fans are happier watching Nagy on the sidelines for another team, but I'm positive that their team isn't winning more because he's on another team. So anyways, that is Nagy notes. That's it.
That
also, just to further your point too, Hound, on how soon people forget, the Bears were literally the worst team in the NFL last year. They had the number 1 overall pick, and they traded it to Carolina. And that's saying something, because Carolina was hot garbage last year. We had Boo Matt Rule at the helm for the better part of 6 games. We were terrible, and they traded their first overall pick to Carolina. I mean, they were literally the worst team in the NFL last year, the Chicago Bears. So just people forget, because they didn't draft number 1 overall. They were still the worst team, and that's how they acquired that first overall pick. So you're absolutely spot on.
Yeah, and this furthers a point I made last pod, to chill on Justin Fields, because everybody was just drooling over the fact that
much hype.
He was 2 for 3 with 2 touchdowns and 100 and some odd yards, and both of those touchdowns were screens. And wow, amazing! You showed something during the preseason, and now it doesn't work as well. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk that the fact that Moore and Khalil Herbert running against the 2s on the team that they were playing against doesn't translate to week 1 defense? Amazing. It's just who would have thought? Who would have thought? Yeah, and I do appreciate the shine coming from Matt Nagy's beautiful bald head. It is just
immaculate.
Immaculate. I agree.
Big brain.
Yes, the man. Thank you, Hound. That was great. I was expecting some energy, but that was fire. Thank you very much. We'll continue to do that as often as there is a Matt Nagy moment. But
I'm sure we'll talk about it in a couple weeks when the Chiefs play the Bears. So that'll be fun.
True. That's going to be great. Yeah, they'll be really happy Matt Nagy's on the other side when he puts 400 on them boys.
Yes.
So they're going to be so happy. And look, by the way, Mitch Trubisky backing up a guy with Pick in his last name. I mean, come on. Come on now. Come on. That was the other thing too. People believed in Trubisky. They really did. And I'm not saying he's the worst player to ever do it. I personally would rather have Tim Tebow than Mitch Trubisky, personally. At least I know there's at least some supernatural factors despite his helicopter throws. And I know we're going to win the 4th quarter every game with Tim Tebow. And overtime will be our best friend. But man, Nagy made Trubisky what Trubisky
tolerable.
is. Yeah, as far as the good version of Trubisky. So
again, Matt Nagy had a winning record with Mitch Trubisky as the starter.
Insane.
No one else can say that.
With Aaron Rodgers in the division and all kinds of, and Stephon Diggs and into Justin Jefferson and all that. Oh, yeah, unbelievable. So thank you for that. We're gonna get into we're gonna review our week 2 predictions, and then we'll put a week 3 prediction down while we're here. And to review our week 1 predictions, all 3 of our teams lost. I was the only one that was man enough to put my team down for a loss, so my predictions are 1-0. So I'm in the lead on that front.
I am blindly optimistic.
I mean, you have every reason to be. I mean, look, the shine
Travis
from
Kelce,
his head, his head is blinding you.
Yes. Maybe that's why the receivers couldn't catch the football.
Maybe.
They were getting
You never know.
from. But I mean, I made that prediction before Travis Kelce got injured too.
That's
so
fair.
I'm going to take that excuse.
There you go. Fair enough.
And run with it.
There you go. All the way to Matt Nagy's house, right? So
yes, all the way.
So as of for week 2, Hound has the Chiefs. We have Chiefs Jags, and Hound has the Chiefs beating the Jags with the same score from the playoff game, 27-20. LB has the Saints losing to Carolina on Monday Night Football, 31-28, last second field goal. That defense is legit, so if you put 31 up on them, that'll be really good. And then I have Miami losing to the Patriots 31-17 this week on Sunday Night Football. Once again, I should have done this. I should have pulled up the schedule so I know who we're playing week 3. I know New England is playing the now Aaron Rodgers-less Jets.
That opened that division up for y'all.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. I'm pretty sure that's at MetLife, but I'll double check Patriots schedule, and I'll make that prediction first. Yep, it's at the Jets. And I have, let's see, I'm doing New England wins 20-10 at MetLife is what I'll have as my prediction there. LB, you guys are playing? Pull this up real quick.
For week 2 or week 3?
Week 3. You already have
We're at Seattle.
At Seattle. All right. 405 at Seattle. Who do you got win that game?
I'm gonna have to go Seattle, man.
All right.
I think Seattle's gonna get us. It's historically been a tough game for us going out west, and after last year, I mean, Seattle had the number 1 offense in the league, I think, statistically speaking. So I think Seattle gets us. I don't think it's particularly close. I think it might be like, I'm gonna go 35-17, something like that. I just think it's we may be running into a buzzsaw with them, and
they didn't really look great.
We'll
they really didn't look great against the Rams, and the Rams didn't have Cooper.
That's the problem, though. Is teams look crap against some other teams, and they play Carolina, and they play their best game of the year.
That's fair.
So we'll see. I'm not thrilled about this one.
Yeah, the Rams Seattle games are always funky, anyways. I mean, there's some funky games between a bunch of division teams, but the funkiest games I think are usually the AFC North games. Like when the Browns are bad, they found a way to steal one from one of the better teams in the division. And the same thing with the NFC West. When the 49ers were trash, they would steal one from, the Russell Wilson and Legion of Boom Seattle Seahawks. And then they'll take, there would be the games, the Rams Seattle games were always crazy. So that's, I hear you there. And I still believe in Geno Smith and that offense. Jackson Smith and Jigba's going to start heating up here, and eventually
DK Metcalf.
It's just consistent.
Especially now that JC Horn's out with a hamstring, he's our number 1 guy. Like, it's just, I don't know, man, that's a tall task going into Seattle and getting a win out there on the road.
Right.
Especially with the rookie quarterback and injuries up front with our O-line. So I think they're going to have their way with us, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I agree. Hound, Kansas City. Do you know who you guys play, or do I have to look it up?
Yeah, we play the Bears.
Oh, is that when you play the Bears?
Already?
Okay.
Yep.
Dang.
3rd week.
All right. So how badly are you guys beating Matt Eberflus?
Oh, terribly. We're going to wipe them off of their feet. We're going to beat the Bears 43-9.
Oh my God.
Led by a Matt Nagy offense, Matt Nagy special,
Yeah, is that in Chicago or is that at Arrowhead?
Let me look. It's at Arrowhead.
Okay.
It's at Arrowhead.
Yeah, that's GG for the Bears.
Yeah.
And this potentially, I mean, who knows? But potentially the Chiefs could be going 0-2 into this game, right? If they lose to a good Jaguars team.
That's true. According to CBS, the 3rd best team in the league, Jacksonville Jaguars, who almost lost to
the Colts.
An Anthony Richardson-led Colts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they will, but if that does happen, they're going to be coming in mad hot.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce's going to be even more healthy. But why is it 43-9? That's kind of a weird score.
That is
true.
true.
The reason it's a 34-point win margin, which coincidentally is how many career wins Matt Nagy has with the Chicago Bears. 34.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
I think the stars will align. Matt Nagy's revenge game. Yeah. So
the storyline nobody's going to be talking about that week.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Some even say maybe it's the last game that Justin Fields will ever start because of how horrible he is. I mean, who knows?
And then that would play right into LB's prediction about Tyson Bagent. Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, I love it.
Anyways.
I love it. All right. Very good. Last thing. Obviously, there's going to be some time for a lot of these guys to warm up. But there were some performances this week that I think were indicative of somebody, the kid that studied ahead, the kid that took the syllabus and read the first 2 weeks worth of material just so that they could show off to the teachers or the professor just how much they enjoy that particular class. And I want to know who the class was of the NFL this week. Every week now, we're going to pick a dog of the week, and we're each going to pick our own person that we feel was either had a particularly good game or maybe just overcame expectations or circumstances or something like that. For example, if Mac Jones would have completed the comeback, I would have Mac Jones as my dog of the week, but he didn't, so he's not. So we'll start with LB. LB, who is your dog of the week?
I got Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback from the Miami Dolphins, going for 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a big-time win over the Chargers, 36-34. The dude stepped up when he needed to make the throws, and quite frankly, they needed him to make those throws. They were in a shootout the whole game. It's not like they were getting cheap yards and touchdowns late in the game when they're already up. I mean, they needed him to complete those balls and throw those touchdowns because, like I said, they were in a dogfight. And Justin Herbert and the Chargers, that's a good team.
Yeah.
Despite what people may think, I mean, I think Justin Herbert's an elite quarterback, but. Yeah, man, I'm going with Tua. Have himself a day, silencing some of the haters, I think, from this offseason, coming out in a big-time way, 466 yards and a win, 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's what you want out of your guy.
Yeah.
I think he just balled out, and so that's my dog of the week.
Heck yeah.
If Tua can stay healthy, I think he has a good shot at being MVP this year.
Wow. Yeah. That's a take.
I can
see it. I really could.
Because,
if they win the games.
Well, that's what I mean. If they can, win a bunch of games and currently in that division, they have a shot at winning that division. A shot,
Yeah.
Who knows? It's only 1 week.
Yeah.
But if they won the division, hypothetically, it's all going to be because of their offense. Their defense isn't that amazing.
No.
So he could have a lot of good stats, good comeback story, kind of So I think he has a shot at that.
Yeah, I think Tua benefited from a good game plan and an awful defense, personally.
Oh yeah.
But,
and Tyreek Hill going insane.
Tyreek Hill.
That always helps. Yeah, for sure. So he usually plays well against New England, but he plays smart well, not stats well, if that makes sense. He does enough to win the game usually. Yeah. But this is the first time I was telling my folks earlier this week. I said this is the first time Tua has played New England in a little while, with New England being New England. Last year, that wasn't a New England team. That was Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia's barbecue and foot massage. I mean, it was just atrocious. But so I'm expecting a good game.
Bill Belichick took the advice that good offense is a good defense to heart, literally that season.
Oh yeah, well yeah, and bit him in the butt. So
yep.
If Tua excels against this elite defense, I think then I'll be a lot a lot. Maybe I'll be on the hype train, but I'm not sipping the Kool-Aid there just yet. But he was a dog for sure for week 1. Probably winning offensive player of the week for the AFC. So good for him. Hound, who's your dog of the week?
My dog of the week is cornerback Jordan Whitehead with the New York Jets. He had 3 interceptions off of a struggling Josh Allen. And not only did he basically single-handedly win that game, because, I mean, without all those turnovers, that Jets injured, riddled offense wouldn't have, been able to pull it out.
Right.
He also made $250K in incentives just from that game because he made those 3 interceptions. And also, that's a career high in interceptions for a single season for Jordan Whitehead. He's only ever had 2 interceptions in a season, so he's only got his personal best in just 1 game.
Good stuff.
He's my dog.
Heck yeah. Yeah. He didn't single-handedly do it because he had to catch the ball with 2 hands every time, just letting you know. But that game, I didn't watch the end of the game because I thought the game was over. But when I heard that,
you watched the first 4 plays, and once Aaron
no,
Rodgers
I was actually stuck at my job. I was waiting for my ride home to get there. So I was not in a position. I was watching the updates, I thought that game was over. And then Josh Allen does what Josh Allen does to every team except New England, which is throw interceptions. Man, I'm really happy that Robert Saleh's got that defense playing at an elite level. The Jets were the Jets, except the fact they won the game. That was the only non-Jets thing that happened, was that they won that game. I definitely agree. I was tempted to pick him as my dog of the week, but there's another player. I didn't necessarily think this was going to be my pick coming into it. I was thinking it was going to be Justin Jefferson or Kirk Cousins or maybe a running back for an NFC team or something like that. I was tempted to go Nick Folk because he almost single-handedly won that game. 5 field goals after getting traded from New England to the Titans and being the only scorer and now the leading scorer in the NFL for week 1. I mean, that's some good stuff. But there's a team that now that a particular GOAT who will not be mentioned no longer plays for. Nobody really wanted to talk about the Bucs this offseason. They have a good defense, but they had, the laughing stock of the quarterback battles this year with the Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask. I honestly thought Kyle Trask would end up winning it just because Trask has had the time with Brady and maybe he picked up a few things and they're similar players. And Trask played well for Florida, when Kyle Pitts was running up and down the field and Kadarius Toney could still catch the ball. But Baker Mayfield, they gave it to the veteran, right? They gave it to the veteran. And I thought that, this Kirk Cousins after the quarterback feature and now kind of America's favorite, person to root for. I kind of felt like, Kirk would, especially with the second year under the Kevin O'Connell, I kind of thought that would be an opportunity for him to really light up the scoreboard. And it didn't happen. That defense played well. Yep. But aside from the first quarter, which a lot of quarterbacks' first quarter did not look very well, Baker Mayfield, man, he kind of took over the second half of that game. He looked that Brian Flores led blitz-heavy defense and said, screw you, I'm throwing all over you. And he single-handedly, I feel like, took over that game in the last 9 minutes of that game and was the difference in winning and losing for the Bucs. I have Baker Mayfield as my dog of the week, and nice. I really appreciate somebody who is kind of been dealt a short hand. He took a franchise that has been the laughingstock in the NFL and brought him to the playoffs and won a playoff game. And then he gets said he's not good enough and shipped out of town. And then, he's given the reins to a Carolina team, which, as LB has said, was not very good. And then he gets shipped to the Rams, and all he does is get put into a game last second and wins that game on his own. And that was kind of a flash, and that didn't really work out after that. But if Baker Mayfield plays like he played on Sunday, this Bucs team has a chance to win that division. It's not exactly a particularly, high-flying division. So 9 to 10 wins might be enough to win it. We're all kind of hoping it's the Panthers doing it, but I have Baker Mayfield. I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but I can just tell you from watching it, it was one of those games where you could just tell his confidence picked up. I think he had 3 touchdowns, and I think he only threw 1 pick, if that. The running game really wasn't doing much, so it was kind of all on him, and he did what Mac Jones couldn't, which was end the game. So I really appreciate that, him doing what he did to a team that won 13 games the year before. So the Bucs are 1-0 and leading the division right now. And nobody was saying that especially with their matchup against the Vikings. So good for him, dog of the week. And congratulations there to Jordan Whitehead and Tua Tagovailoa for being our dogs of the week. And with that, that's going to wrap up this episode. We appreciate you guys listening. Please, again, put comments down of teams you want us to discuss. We would love to discuss teams outside of, our favorites. And we'd love the opportunity to showcase the vast knowledge, the Matt Nagy kind of insight to the NFL. So if you guys have a favorite team or a team you want us to talk about, please put it in the comments, and we'll be happy to do an episode kind of featuring that team outside of the teams that we usually talk about. But until then, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the No Punt Intended Sportscast. Be sure to check out the Thinking Hound and to like, share, and subscribe.